everybody, let's talk about the best way to answer behavioral interview questions using something called the STAR method. Now, if you were to go to a job interview in this day and age, chances are the majority of the questions they're going to ask you will be behavioral questions. If you've never heard of behavioral questions, these are questions that you don't answer with a yes or no, you don't answer with a fact, but you answer with a story from your past. Okay? Usually they begin with, tell me about a time. So for example, tell me about a time you solved a problem. Tell me about a time you had a conflict with a coworker. What'd you do? Tell me about a time you had confusing, unclear instructions from your boss. How did you handle it? Okay, those are examples of behavioral interview questions, okay? Now, behavioral-based questions, they are the cutting edge of job interviewing today. And by that, of course, I mean that they were invented and came to prominence in the 1970s and have been with us ever since. They're actually based on a very simple principle. The idea that past behavior predicts future behavior. Okay, so they're asking you a question about your past. They're saying, how did you handle this particular situation? And when you give an answer, they're going to make the assumption that if they were to hire you and put you in that situation again, you would behave exactly the same way. Okay, that's why they're asking these questions. Now, it's a well-known fact that this is very flimsy. Just because you did something once, maybe a long time ago, doesn't mean that you would handle it exactly the same way today. So keep that in mind. Now, the best way to give an answer when you're having to answer one of these questions is this thing called the STAR method, okay? STAR. It stands for situation, task, action, result, okay? Situation, task, action, result. This is the format in which you give your answer. So the first thing you do is you give the situation, okay? That's what was going on at the time. Then you give your task, the thing that you were told to do or the thing that your job required you to do or the goal you were trying to accomplish, okay? Then you say what you did, the action, okay? This is what I did. And then you give the result, how it turned out. Okay, so situation, task, action, result. Now, I actually recommend that you go a step further and do something that's slightly less well known, but it's very good. It's the STARL format. And you just add learning to the end. You say what this experience taught you, or perhaps what it reinforced. So, and if you're wondering what behavioral questions, what exact behavioral questions they might ask you in a job interview, a great way to find that out is to go to Google and type in behavioral interview question and then the job title that you're going for. So you would, at the Google search box, you would type in behavioral interview question accountant or behavioral interview question warehouse person or behavioral interview question customer service rep, whatever the job is that you're being interviewed for. Those usually give you a list of specific behavioral interview questions that they are very likely to ask you. Okay, let's wrap this up by giving a quick example. Okay, so you're in a job interview and they ask you a behavioral-based question. Maybe they ask you, tell me about a time that you had to solve a problem. Now you're going to answer in the STARL format, okay? So let's do that together. Here's an example. Well, okay, in my previous job, I was working as a customer service rep and I had to process customer complaints. And one day there was a customer who was disgruntled, they were upset, they were very dissatisfied with the product, and they demanded a refund. Now, I took the time when dealing with that customer in person to listen in depth to their complaint and what their thoughts were on this particular issue. And I made it a point to sympathize with them, to empathize with them, and to make them feel that I was there to help them and I was on their side. Then I communicated what the options were that I had available to me and asked them what they would prefer. In the end, what happened was I ended up satisfying the customer, alleviating their concern, and they were very happy with the service that I provided them that day. And that experience, like many before it, have reinforced my belief that the best way to deal with a personal conflict or a problem is to make sure that you have very good communication up front, to take the trouble and the effort to do this, because it will save you so much effort on the back end and so much time and so much money. And that's what made me a great customer service rep. So that would be an example of answering a behavioral question in the STARL format. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you very much for your attention. You guys are awesome. And I'll see you on the next video. Take care.